my slips, my falls, my trials and tribulations, my heart, my balls, my somebody stop me, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The dark, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right is gone.
Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Leggett representing Team JVS. I'm back again for another review. This is a early review for the movie directed by Sam Mendes, 1917. So, 1917, the basic synopsis is two young British privates during the First World War are given an impossible mission: deliver a message deep in enemy territory that will stop 1,600 men and other soldiers and brothers from walking straight into a deadly trap. So the premise sounds very simple, but there's so many facets, just how layered this film really is. So one of the big things about Sam Mendes, if you don't know, he directed Skyfall. He's directed actually a lot of good films. Road to Perdition, another one. Revolutionary Road is another one. He also did direct Spectre, which I didn't like as much. But he's had some other films that were kind of like on the not as high budgety, like Away We Go, and of course Jarhead. Jarhead would be an interesting nudge to this one because they go very personal. The thing about it is like you're taking on this road and you don't stop. And when you got like a cinematographer and a photographer and Roger Deakins doing the cinematography, and probably I would say on record the best cinematography for any war movie that I think I've ever seen, you got something special. And so let's go ahead and just break it down. So cinematography was amazing. There are shots in this movie that I have no idea how they did. I haven't felt like this since Alejandro's The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio, because there are so many different angles and shots that, because well, a lot of people aren't, directors or cinematographers, but there's an art form to making sure you capture that essence of a shot, but at the same time, like, you don't hear a noise, you don't hear anything, like, you don't have to go and reverb, re-edit. Like, there are some shots that are so quiet, and you just see, like, the camera just slowly panning around and continue, and there's never, from the beginning of the movie until the end of the movie, it doesn't stop. The camera is consistently moving, is consistently choreographed, and is consistently paced, which has to mean that Sam Mendes had to have like a shot-for-shot storyboard of how he wanted every scene to actually go, as much as we had to make sure the actors were embracing and enveloping everything that was happening as well. The score is the score is so good. It's such an amazing score that just off the score and the cinematography alone, those gonna get immediate Academy Award nominations. Easily they might actually, honestly, this might end up being the best well-shot film of the year, I would say, for Golden Globes. I think that's almost like a lock in my personal opinion. But also with this, you also have some amazing talent behind it. So you got Colin Firth, Mark Strong, Andrew Scott, and two other notable names. I'm keeping them a secret. I think one of them did show up in the trailers, but I don't want to even reveal it. I think it's like when you see them and when they show up, they're on key. Like every single one of the people that I just listed off and those other two names, they are on it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it adds to the tale with these two men, played by George Mackay and Dean Charles Chapman. Now, Dean Charles Chapman, I just saw him in the movie The King, and he did a really good job of the brother of the king. And most people would know him as Tommen from Game of Thrones, which he had a tragic end, but he acted it very well, and this is no different. The difference with this one is that he has everything to lose, and he's dragging along his friend along for the ride, played by George Mackay. Now, if their relationship didn't work, because this is so fast-paced and in your face and maneuvering so fast, that I don't think it would matter, but they do something really interesting with the pacing of this. Even though the camera doesn't stop moving, they allow moments of levity. They allow moments of beauty. They allow moments of just storytelling. There's one moment where Scott Field, played by George Mackay, where he's in this bunker kind of situation and he's by himself and like he's injured really badly and like the lighting is just really poor. And like you just feel this atmosphere of just anxiety and worry and concern, and you don't know what's going to happen throughout the entire film. Like the actors do such a really good job of showing the war-tornness of everything that's happening. But there's also a catering to the directing, because everywhere you're on the battlefield, there's death, there's decay, there is like loss, there's hopelessness. But at the same time, there are moments of victory, there are moments of valor, there's moments of like rallying behind someone. You know what I'm saying? Like there's one moment where Scott Field is just kind of listening to this one soldier just sing. He just kind of stops for a second, and that captured moment is just so beautiful because of the way they pan it. And that goes back to the cinematography. I have no idea how they shot it, because the camera goes and interweaves between people's laps and around their legs, and I was like, how did they shoot this? I really have I would pay to get a behind the scenes look at how they actually did some of the cinematography for this, because it is amazing. So as far as the story is concerned, story isn't anything we haven't seen, like something like Saving Private Ryan, maybe even more so along the lines of like Dunkirk in terms of pacing and processing of like how history is guided through the whims of people that have this prime directive with what should happen, what they think it happened, and then like the reality that sets in, and just kind of like how that hits you right in the face of the reality of war and the loss of it, and like what people would do to try to survive and what people would do to try to cause. And I think they do a really good job establishing all mediums and all facets of it, because there's a couple different lines of dialogue between the two men where they start talking about like, you know, the Germans and what different lengths that they took to do certain things. And it's not that they're condoning or allowing like, you know, or even glorifying the terrible things that they do, but it's more so like seeing the humanistic side of like everybody's losing here. Everybody is at a place of detriment. But specifically, every single moment that they go closer and closer to where they have to go, like the dangers just hits and hits and hits. And like the set design, I don't know how they sculpted this, but in my personal opinion, the only way that I know that them to conceivably do this is that they had to build a set from the point of where these kids are to the point at the very end, and they had to kind of run through that and storyboard it and map it out and choreograph it and like play it out and act it out. And it's masterclass. This is one of the best war movies I've ever seen, if not just for the cinematography and the score alone, but the process behind it and the valor behind it, and the at the end of the day, like towards the very end, like I was caught off guard by some tears. I legit almost almost fell to some tears towards the very end. But I think that's a commitment to just the cast in general and the way that they actually sharpened this film. I felt similar way with Ford versus Ferrari, in all honesty. But you gotta see 1917. It is definitely something that I would recommend looking at in IMAX, because the sound design, even more so, is amazing. And you just don't want to miss those angles and that. I don't know. I don't want to boast it up too much, but for me, I didn't see any faults with this. I mean, yeah, nah, I'm gonna give it a 10. I don't have any kind of faults with it whatsoever. I might leave it at a 9.5 just because I don't necessarily give everything a perfect score when it comes to films. There's always something that could be worked on. I think there might have been one line of dialogue that was kind of not necessary. And then there was one moment where I kind of was like, this is just unbelievable. Like, there's one moment, like, legit, when Scott Field does something, and I was like, that's just unbelievable. But it just looks so amazing that I was like, you know what? Forget it. It's whatever. Like, this, regardless if this happened or didn't happen or could have happened, like, it doesn't even matter at this point. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that review. Keep it locked. JVS, Wing or Stop. Definitely go and check out 1917 as soon as it reaches theaters. Peace, guys.